I've been checking our play with our gib adjustment, and I've been running it all the way to the bottom, all the way to the top, and it's very consistent. It's within a thou all the way, top to bottom. So what I want to do, I want to lock these adjusting screws, and what I found is basically you tighten them until it just touches, and that's it. Let me zoom you guys in, show you what kind of play we have. All right, hopefully the camera is focusing. So we've got about 1 thou, maybe 1.5 thou if you really refund it. So I like that adjustment. And off camera, so off camera I'm going to take these gib screws out one at a time and just give them a little bit of blue thread locker. I'll have to clean them off because they're pretty oily. I'll do all that off camera. Yeah, they're so loose or so little tension required. There's no way they're gonna hold their position without some thread locker on there. All right, that's done. I also put in the knee locks. I think right now I'm going to start working on the countershaft drive. It'll be a lot easier before the saddle and table go on. A little more room to work. This never had a washer, so I'm going to add one. This is one of those parts that we experimented with the nickel plating. Okay, and we got our adjuster. Alright. I'm going to give that some grease. And I put a little bit of oil on the threads and that rod also. Okay, let me get set up for the counter shaft. We just had a minor miracle happen. So I dropped one of these screws on the floor and it stayed right out in the open. It didn't go underneath the workbench all the way to the back behind everything else like they normally do. Maybe I should go get a lottery ticket. All right, so we've got our parts laid out for the counter shaft, and got a little bit of a dilemma, head scratcher. So when we took this apart, we found this spacer washer in here. And what we've got, these are the bearing retainer caps for each side. Bearing actually goes in there like that. The extended part goes that way. And it was on the drive end. I had to go back and look at the video several times. But this spacer was right here, which would go against this side of the shaft, okay, with our retaining fixture. And remember, we had to repair this shaft. The bearing fits were super loose, and now they're of correct size, but this washer will not go on there. So I don't think this is original. I'm like 90% sure that somebody added this doing some type of a repair. Why you would need a spacer, I have no idea, unless they were trying to get the bearing to sit further out on a what was left of maybe a good section of the shaft before we fixed it. So I'm going to leave that out, and what I did, I went ahead and I mounted these on the brackets, and I checked our spacing with the shaft and how the bearings would sit in there, and there's no issue. Should be fine. Those brackets are adjustable, so yeah, we're leaving it out. Okay, our key is good. I had to file it a little bit where the set screw dug in. We'll just put that facing down, should be fine. This end, however, this is the key that came out of there, and it's not correct at all. It's really loose. So I dug through my stash of key stock, and actually it wasn't in here, it was over my brooch set. I actually have a piece of, it's 1/8 inch key stock, so I'll make a new key to go in there. Yeah, we're pretty much ready to go to put this together. So let me cut this piece of key while I'm thinking about it. Alright, got distracted for a little bit. One of the neighbors stopped by. So got the new key made and test fit. Everything's good there. And I went ahead and these are, you can almost push them in by hand, but I used the press, got them in there. So I'm going to put this one on first. And I got a little sleeve here, so I'm going to go to the press and do that real quick. Okay, well, I had a couple of burrs on this key, and I also measured it, and see I got it marked. This side is 5 thousandths thinner than this side, so it's somebody's worked on it before. The other thing is that if you look at this radius, where they used a wheel cutter to cut this, it was a big diameter wheel. So this radius goes all the way back to about there. So I got to make sure I keep this in the center. And now we got a pretty good fit. Slightly looser than I would prefer, but I think it's going to be fine. Alright, so now I got to press this bearing on. Alright, let's head over to the press and do that. Okay, it wasn't worth dragging the camera over there to show pressing that bearing on. Alright, let's see if we can get this to go on here. Be a little bit of a juggling act. Alright, I feel a little safer now. This has to squish up a little bit. Okay, like that. Yeah, so the motor kind of ties everything together. Alright, let me give you guys a close-up. Alright, well there you go. I got our alignment close. I'm just leaving everything loose until we get everything in place, and then we'll figure out what we need to do for alignment. Yeah, the motor actually kind of holds everything together. What's weird is they've got this set screw here, but this shaft needs to pivot as you adjust the belt tension. So this really doesn't make any sense. It would make more sense to have a way to lock this arm to the shaft, which they didn't have any provision at all. I could probably add that if we need it, but I mean, I'm assuming it worked before, so we're just going to go with what they had for now. Looking at our motor mount hole options, so we have holes that don't line up, kind of line up, sort of line up. Less than sorta. So I think we'll go with sorta and kinda. Well, that ain't gonna work. Let's try it again. Luckily the motor base is slotted, so that should work out okay for our alignment. Well guys, remember this funny undersized key we found that was originally on that shaft and we made a new properly fitting key? Well, this pulley has an undersized keyway, so we're going to broach that out to match this one, but I'm not going to do that tonight. We'll do that tomorrow morning. Let's see if we get the motor pulley on there. This was the one that we nickel plated. I had to do some deburring on this keyway also, or key. But I think we got it fitting pretty good now. Oh, yeah. Could be a little tighter actually, but we're gonna go with it. Alright, I'm going to put the set screw in, but I'm not going to tighten anything. We got to, we got to line up everything, so on and so forth. I had a closer look at this keyway off camera, and it looks like it was cut on a slotter or maybe a shaper. And it's kind of U-shaped. They cut the first part okay, but the more deeper part of the cut, they missed a little bit. So I think that's what was causing the issue. So hopefully this will clean up okay. Felt like it was ready to come out. There we go. This key stock is about 2/1000 oversized, so I'm just going to dust it off a little bit. Let her warm up for a minute. Much better. That's a really nice fit. Okay, well, let's go try it on the shaft. All right. I think we've got a win. I've got to put this little plunger back in for the power feed, and I've already marked it. The through hole is pretty accurate, but it's just a little bit better this way around rather than that way around, so I've got it marked. Okay, we got a spring. This goes in there like that. There we go. You got to get your mouth just right for that to go in. All right, now I need to hold that down. I'm going to use a piece of wood like that, and we'll put a clamp on there, something like that. plunger goes on there. It's got to actually go in a little ways. Let me loosen this up. There we go. And then I usually take another punch, run it through from the back to line it up. There we go. That little spring's got some strength. Punch is a little big. Let's try this one. That's a better fit. Okay, alright, we got it lined up. And this pin has got a flat on one side. Okay, that side. So that'll go up. Yeah. Okay, alright, it's gonna stay. There we go. A little bit on the fiddly side. Okay, and then let's see if we can. It's pretty tight. This bugger's tight. Okay, tell you what, I'm going to let that go back into the recess a little bit, about like that, so it's supported. I'm going to switch back to this punch. Yeah, it's back in that register now, so it's got some support. I think that's good enough. Alright, take our clamp off. Alright. I thought this spring might have been damaged, but it's just the way they wrapped the wire around and anchored it. They ran it back through one of the coils. So we're leaving it alone. Okay, so this is a little kick out lever. Goes there. A little shoulder screw bolt goes on there. I think it does, because when we tighten that down. Okay, hopefully this doesn't shoot across the bench. There we go. Never be able to find that if it shot across the shop. Okay, so that's the manual kick out lever, or the automatic if the dog comes against the plunger. We've got a stop screw goes there. Okay, we've got our nut, goes on the other side. I got 2 punch marks there, 2 here, so it goes this way. Right. Let's find our screws. I try to keep everything organized in Ziploc bags, but in the process of cleaning everything, some of the parts I've kind of lost track of them. So I have a mystery bag here, and our 2 screws were in the mystery bag. Okay. All right. That should be it for the saddle. The gib we'll put on when we put it on the machine, which will be the next step. Okay, I gave the underside of the saddle here plenty of oil also. Oh yeah. Wow, I cannot describe how smooth that is. That is just awesome. All right. Well, let me get an indicator set up and let's see what kind of rock, if any, we have. Okay, I got to try to do this without moving the saddle. So I'm putting quite a bit of pressure. If I really crank on it, I can get 2 thou. Okay. And you got to have some give clearance, so, and it still feels smooth as far as the travel goes. Set that down. So I think I'm just going to call that good. All right, so I've got to do the same thing we did on the column, the knee. I've got to take these screws out one at a time, put some blue thread locker on them, and try to get the same setting. I'm going to do that off camera. All right, that's done. Brake clean, Q-tips, blue Loctite, done. This side of the saddle is thoroughly oiled up. We've got a bunch of oil in the lead screw nut. Our gib is sitting in there, ready to go. We got our table ready. I've got brand new felts in the oil holes. These work more like a restrictor, so they're just short. So the oil will sit on top of those, and the felt will kind of meter the oil out to the ways. And I didn't mention the white paint. I do that on all my machines. Anything that's internal, where it's hard to see what's going on, it's nice to have it painted white. That way everything's illuminated better. All right. Okay, we didn't drop it on the floor, so that's good. All right, I've been working on the gib adjustment, and I really don't want to go any tighter than what it is right now. So it's about 1.5 thousandths play. If I really crank on it, it'll go like 2 thousandths. Probably just squishing the oil out of the ways when I do that. Okay, I'm happy with that. Yeah, that feels pretty good. Getting our lead screw ready for the table. So we've got the indicator dial that goes on like that. Then our handle. And I made a new taper pin. I think I got the length figured out. I gotta find the set screw for this collar. I'm not gonna crank that down. I'm just gonna go till it touches for now, until we get everything assembled. Our power feed gear has to go on before the lead screw goes in, and I remember this was a really tight fit. It's the special key for the power feed drive. Unfortunately, we've got a little more backlash in our table lead screw than I was hoping for. Yeah, it's about 16, maybe 17 thousandths in the center. Yeah, maybe 18. And it's a lot less on the ends. So there is some wear in the lead screw, but probably in the nut also. Not going to do anything about it right now. I think what I might do later on at some point is make a split nut, or modify this nut with an auxiliary nut, so that we can have some adjustment. Our drive belt finally came in, so I got that installed. All right. I put our power feed bracket on here when you guys weren't looking. All right, well that's what's next, power feed. All right, I want to take a look at this power feed, see what we got to do. It's not that complicated, but so there's the stud, goes into the saddle, goes bounce on there. Then we got this torsion spring that goes in here, something like that. And then it's just got, this is just like a shouldered kind of a stud. There's a washer, a couple double nuts go on here. You know, nothing exotic there. The tricky part is I've got to get this in there. I've got to preload the torsion spring, try to get it in there, and you know, get it over the shaft and everything. So I might need like 3 sets of hands to do that. So let's see what happens. Well, that was a case of overthinking things. It actually ended up being real simple. So that torsion spring is actually pushes down, not up. So it didn't have a lot of tension on it. So the spring helps push the worm gear down, or the worm gear down to release the power feed. And it's just a manual process, or a latching process that holds it up against the torsion spring. Yeah, so yeah, that's working really good. I still got to put more oil in there. I got to figure out what type of oil we're supposed to have in there. Yeah, okay. And I got to put the end support back on. That's all back together. I just used some Molly base light grease on that worm gear. And it also takes oil in the sleeve bearings, so they'll kind of mix together over time. All right, well, we need a couple pulleys and a belt. Well, our pulleys fit up nicely, but our belt is too short. I just ordered the next size up, and I ordered a better quality one. This was just a cheap one because I was kind of suspicious that it wouldn't fit. I modified a couple of hard washers to fit these clamping bolts, and I've had these in and out several times, but I've got some high pressure Molly grease on them also. It takes a lot of force to clamp that overarm support, so, and it was just right on the cast iron before, so that should be better. Well guys, we're getting there. I've been busy cleaning parts, kind of organizing things. I'll bring you in, give you a little close-up, and then we'll do a quick walk around the machine, and that's going to end this episode. Still got to figure out electrical also. So yeah, I'm hoping to get one more episode out before I got a little vacation time coming up. So keep an eye out for that. Let me bring you guys in. So our brace is cleaning up nicely. It's going to be good. I did a little bit of deburring also. We got all the paint stripped. Our overarm support is looking good. I did take a skim on here and brought that bronze bushing down flat with everything else. Got our drawbar cleaned up. The vise, it's not so good. I'm going to go ahead and complete it, but it's got some issues. I was wondering why these 2 bolts were here in the end. And if you look closely, yeah, this thing's got a crack. Yeah, and this thing's kind of crudely made, but you know, it's. I'm gonna go ahead and finish it, you know, because it does belong with the machine. Our crank arm, I don't know what I'm going to do with this thing. I'm probably going to bore this out and put a bushing in there with a better fitting square drive. And then these are interesting. So these came, let me get the other one. These came with the machine in a box. They were never on there since I've had it. But the little catch cups that go on the end of the table. And so somebody added these little drains, and that bolt is captured in there. I don't like that. I'm going to see what I can do with that. But I got to figure out, do I want to paint these? Do I want to try to nickel plate them? Yeah, they're kind of ugly right now. Well, here it is in the mostly assembled condition. I did get the overarm support bar in there, and I added the little kick out dogs for the power feed. I don't think you guys saw that yet. And we did get the new belt for the power feed. It's an AC Delco belt, so hopefully it'll last a while. One thing that I'm going to have to figure out is something to do with these belt guards. I want to try to design something that fits the era of the machine, but also, you know, something fairly clean, not too oversized. And I still got the electrical to figure out how we're going to do that. Yeah, but other than that, and the parts we're working on over there on the table, we're almost there. I do have some tooling. I've got to look through that, and I really don't need to do much with the tooling. It should be pretty much ready to go. Okay, guys, we're going to cut this one off right here, and thanks again for joining, and we will see you, or you will see me, in the next video. Okay, bye now. Thanks again.